Okay? Awesome. So sorry, so you can stand up if you want, and this is another great way for us to get to know each other really quickly. All right? 30-second pitch, yes.
So about what you do. Your goal and also what you hope to
Yes.
accomplish.
Yes, so my name's Achumboro Ataande. I'm from Ghana. I am a business consultant. I mostly do brand consulting, so I help companies and people figure out their branding. And I love business. My goal eventually is to be a venture capitalist, investing mostly in Africa and South America. Okay, we don't have to go in order. So I'm gonna, we don't have to go in order, but I'm gonna remember everybody who doesn't go. And at the end of the time, for this meeting, I'm doing it bigger, but usually what I like to do also is to split us up into groups maximum of 7, so people can give feedback to each other. But for this first meeting, we're not going to do that. But next time you come, that's what we do. Maximum groups of 7, so people can give feedback throughout the whole meeting. All right?
I'll just
Awesome.
Okay, my name is Anna. I'm from Russia. I've been born again for a year, and God has. I've done many different things, weird things, my whole life in terms of like different ventures that He's put me on. In this season, it's real estate. I also have some business ideas as well, and I just feel like I have an entrepreneur heart, and I want to see where God takes me. So, and fulfill everything for His glory. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hi. My name is Claudia. I was born and raised in Mexico. My goal is to be a professional organizer. I've been good at organizing all my life. I've been neat and stuff. Of course, kind of follow the track sometimes, but it just friends always help me to tell me to help them and family. So it just happened. Yeah.
Okay, hello, I'm Chris from Korea. I'm a tap dancer and movement analyst. So in these days, I am working on creating my own job. So I am working on analyzing the way people walk, and I'm stuck in the middle of somewhere. But on the other hand, God gave me a chance to perform as a tap dancer. It just started, so yeah, I'm very excited, and that's it.
My name is River. I'm 21. I work across the street, and I want to help people travel the world.
Hi, my name is Caleb Norowski, and I'm an actor, and I'm just going to read a quick verse. Whoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. That is from the verse Mark 8:34, and my goal is to make a production company called Mark 8:34 Productions, and it's about dramatizing Christian testimonies.
My name is Ashley. I'm currently studying marketing. I don't know exactly where I'm going to end up, but I know that wherever I do end up, I want to be in an environment where there's comfort and expansion.
Hello, my name is Martha. I'm a real estate agent. I help people buy, sell, rent, like that.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Taina, or Tai, and Taina actually in Russian means one of the mysteries or secrets of God in the Bible. And so I thought that was the fun thing about me. Also, I love adventures. I'm going piloting in a couple of days. I'm very excited about that. One more semester of grad school left, but my real sort of interest is using the power of writing and stories to reach communities and to reach people. And I wanted to express that through books and through film and through poetry, and see where God takes me through that.
My name is Catherine. I'm originally from Uganda, but I grew up over quite a few continents. The thing about me at the moment, I work in Big Pharma, so I'm a drug development specialist, but I've always been very much, had that entrepreneurial spirit, and so I am at the moment in the fashion side, in leather handbags, and I'm now looking at clothing for women.
Hi everyone, my
My background is in fashion design. Now all my calling from God is primarily in Jewish evangelism. Right now I do real estate. Not very happy with it, so I'm searching. Basically, I also have like entrepreneurial in me, and I'm not happy doing 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So I'm basically searching what's next in real estate, but do something different or just completely do something.
I will go try. My name is Kawane. I'm from Brazil. I arrived here 2 months and 2 weeks ago, and I am advertiser and model. I make a website, e-commerce. I
Entrepreneur.
No, I administration. Yes, accounts in Instagram, and I have one platform for follows more people's
Increase their
yes,
platform.
more people's for accounts and in the around the place. For example, you have one company here. I take the Instagram platform for more people. The New York follow. You know,
You do marketing.
yes,
campaigns.
yes. Media online.
Hi, my name is Marco Santiago. It is actually my first name. Most people tell me their first and last name, which is always awkward. I'm a partner in a real estate firm. I've been doing it for 12 years, and I run a successful team in Manhattan. What we do is we focus on bringing first-time buyers into an area where they can potentially see a great ROI in a market where it's tough to see gains. So that's what I do.
And I will let Queen Anaya go.
OMG, how are you? Awesome. Am I the last one? I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right, hi everybody. I'm Anaya A. I recognize a lot of you, and some of you I don't recognize. So, I am the president and CEO of Freedom Entertainment Group, as well as FEG Management, and author and poet of A Woman's Intuition. And recently, I became the committee chair for the Haitian Committee of the National Action Network. I'm involved in quite a few different things. And I'm just happy to be here tonight. And sorry I've been missing. I've just been very busy. But real quick, I wanted to say this too. So under FEG Management, we have a major event coming up on June the 29th, because I just became the publicist for Rucker Park Prep, which is a subsidiary of Rucker Park. If you know anything about basketball, you'll know the NBA. All the major celebrities have gone through Rucker Park, and they have brought a whole, entertainment / sports field to the Harlem community that's redeveloping. And so therefore, I'm inviting all of you to the 29th, June 29th at Rucker Park. And if you need more information, I can give you my information. But I think the event starts at 5:30. But if you're in the media and you'd like to cover this story or know anybody that would, you could definitely get in contact with me and I can set something up. But Def Jams will be there, as well as all of the politicians in the community that have a hand in Rucker Park, as well as some NBA players, and a lot more surprises.
I do freelance writing for Epoch Times. I don't know if they're really, really growing as well.
Okay.
They're mostly based on politics, but I do freelance writing where I can write about anything on cover stories.
Perfect.
I'll talk to you after.
Sounds good. Thank you. And just to let you guys know, I am a Christian and I do. Right. No, for those that don't, I said Def Jam Records. You guys are probably like, wait, what? I bring my God into my business. I'm not a Christian-based organization, but I am a Christian and I love God. But God allows us to be in different places to utilize our experiences to shed His love and light. So I had to share that before y'all guys. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So now the group is bigger, but does anybody have some feedback that you get? Great. Thank you, Marco. Santiago.
I just realized right now I was the first person to raise my hand, so I know usually you want someone else to say. So in their presentations on what you are and what you want to accomplish, for some of us, I heard who you are as a person and what God wants to do in your life. But I thought what we were trying to get at, maybe it's something we can work on, is expressing to someone in 30 seconds who you are, what you want them to know about you, and a call of action. In other words, what you do so that they can say, oh, I'm interested, let me get your card. So that exchange of communication in business is maximized. I mean, I've been in business for almost 15 years, so I know how important it is for a quick response, and for someone who may not even know who you're in the elevator with, we call it the elevator pitch, to be able to say, hey, this is what I do, this is what I offer, and if you're interested in participating or finding out more, kind of like what you did. I did get that from Caleb as well with your production company. You mentioned it was Mark 7:24.
Mark 8:34.
I am a Christian. It is Mark 8:34.
34 productions.
Yeah, so that let me into the question. If you didn't say what the biblical verse was, probably I would have asked, well, what is that biblical verse? Yeah. And that could have engaged us in a conversation to attach it. But I love the fact that you brought it together, which brought curiosity and let me know that you were a Christian. That's just a little bit of my feedback.
So what I did, and it was an example, but I was going to criticize myself. But usually what you would do is, I like that everybody, and that's why, so I didn't realize everyone was going to follow my lead. Usually when I say interesting fact, it's really cool if it's super interesting, or it somehow ties back into what you want to do. Because whenever somebody remembers that about you, they'll remember what you want to do. So that's really the best possible scenario you can get. One, that's fact that's super interesting, that makes you stand out, or, but even better than that is something that ties back into what you want to do. So I was just setting examples so I could criticize myself to start with, because the new faces, you're not used to my criticism, so I'll let you go for this this week. But really, to try to think about that. And River, you actually did really well. I don't know if this is your first time doing it, but I really liked yours. You did really well, because I know you're not fully sure about everything. You know you want to go into travel, but you got that across, and you were really short. And I think that's what we all can learn too. Sometimes if you don't know what to say, it's better to be short than just to fill it with things, because what will happen is I'm just going to remember what she wants to do and her name. All right, and that's the most important thing for us to get out of it. And back to Marco Santiago's point, I think sometimes what he's saying is really, you have to have the purpose going into the conversation. I don't want to say to generate business, but to let more people know about what you're doing in the business world. So if there's a connection there, they'll connect with you on that front. Okay? All right. Any other advice, questions? No? Nothing? Oh, wow, you all so quiet.
Well, it's amazing to see everybody actually talk. That's huge in business. Like, this is not easy to stand up in front of people you just met and to talk about how awesome you are. The toughest, when I interview people, the question I usually ask, which is the toughest response, and I almost ask it just to, actually I have more mercy than that. I try not to ask it anymore because it's a struggle question, is, can you tell me about you? You ever get that question in an interview? Tell me a little bit about yourself. And you're like, well, yeah, what do you want to know? Right? So, the thing about business is when you know a lot about yourself, you're able to express what you can do, and you are the business, you are the product. That's awesome. I was impressed.
Yes, so thank you. So any other comments? This is really something that I think this is one of the most important parts of the group, because this is something you should be doing every day, if not every few hours. Always doing your elevator pitch, always doing your 30-second pitch. Whenever you meet somebody, so here you can get comfortable, learn how to improve it. So if you have any questions, hey, can I do this more? This I think is the place to ask. Okay. Yes. come sit next to me, so because you don't mind being in front of the camera.
Oh, yeah.
What, do you want to sit on this and make it us better? So good to see so many women entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yes.
It's amazing. I read a stat that there's only 3 out of the Fortune 500 companies in the world. There's only 3 women that are entrepreneurs. I mean, 3 women CEOs in the top Fortune. Like there's 500 companies, and only 3 of them have women CEOs. So it's such a blessing, such an encouragement to see how many women are here.
So, before we get in, I'll let you two do your quick. So what we do is always start this off. Yes. We always start with an elevator pitch or like a 30-second introduction of yourself.
Okay.
So the goal with this is to get people comfortable and to refine your elevator pitch. Okay. So the key points is to say who you are, an interesting fact about you, and what you do or what you want to do. Okay, with your business. All right.
Okay. My name is Erica, and fun fact about me, I am into cars, and I used to race them and put them together, the engines. And my interest is to have my own business, little related to a consulting side, and also a female clothing line. So, and this is my daughter.
Awesome.
She's just with me for the event.
Do you want to practice? Yeah.
Just bring your mom everywhere for the elevator pitch. That's my mom.
Okay. I'm Alicia. Yeah, that's my mom.
What's that?
Oh, I like to do makeup. And I'd like to just help her with her business.
Awesome. So this is the book that I recommend, and I think this is the book we'll start off with every cycle, especially for new people. The Richest Man Who Ever Lived. It's about King Solomon and Proverbs. And what we do is usually once a month I send out a recommended book. Anyone else is, well, actually send them to me first if you can. But if you have other recommendations of books you think other people should read, that's what, because we don't want you just, this group, and the reason I created chat groups, I don't want you just to learn from me. You're learning from each other, you're learning from authors, you're learning from experience, but we want to give you as much knowledge as possible to make the climb, the entrepreneurship climb, less steep, less treacherous. And the best way, one of the best ways to do that is by educating yourself. So I highly recommend. This is one of my top 3 books ever. So that's why we start off with, and also the fact that it's a Christian book and it's based on Proverbs. So I think that makes it even better and stronger. Okay. So today, as we said, we're going to start talking about vision. I know not all of you have been able to read this book, but does anyone have any ideas on why vision is important? I'll tell a little story. Yes.
It's in the Bible, right? Like, I haven't read that book, but isn't it the Bible first? I'm practicing. Without a vision, the people perish. Like, totally. Like, if you don't have, like, something that you're envisioning or going towards, bigger than just goals, but like a vision for yourself and for your community, your family, etc., you may just end up perishing.
It also keeps you on track, because if you have something you're going towards, you won't be easily distracted by other things that come your way. So it allows you to be confident as well and enjoy the journey because you have a vision that you have an end goal.
Exactly. Awesome. How many of you find it hard to like start your business or continue your business? Let's be honest. Yeah. At times. How many people find it hard to start your business or continue working at times?
Is it hard to start your business?
Like, so.
Is it hard to stay motivated?
Yes.
In your business?
So, another question. How many people wake up at 4?
4:30.
5?
PM?
So you work.
Sometimes you go to bed at 4, does that work?
Actually, I was going to say that. It's like,
Wake up.
Yeah.
Do you wake up
It's the
4
same
hours,
thing.
4 a.m.?
4:30 a.m.
6 a.m.?
The teacher see it?
A little bit. Okay. 7?
Do you
Depends
know?
on the day.
Do you know
Depends on the day.
You like your job?
It depends on the day.
I agree.
But do you know?
So,
No?
I'm gonna read just the intro to chapter 4.
Do you? Yeah.
You got to keep going.
Exactly. The intro to chapter 4. So it says, this is about Solomon's power secret for turning dreams into reality. And it's about mankind's perpetual fuel. For more than 100 years, engineers and scientists have dreamed of a perpetual source of energy, one that would generate more power than it consumes. Imagine a power source that would drive your car even without ever needing to be replenished. The truth is, a perpetual source of energy would violate the known laws of physics. But there is a source of perpetual mental and emotional fuel available to us to achieve our dreams. It is called hope. And then I'm going to jump to a story. So my first company, it didn't go far, but my first company, I started it in undergrad, and it was essentially an earlier version of Huffington Post. And during this time, I would work 20 plus hours, like every day, on my company because I loved it. I felt like I knew what I was doing, and I was so happy to do it. I didn't want to go to sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep. I wanted to do it, and it was hard for me to go to sleep during that time because I was so excited to do it. And the reason why I bring that up is when you have a vision or when you're so passionate about something, it will drive you to continue on when things get tough. It will drive you to wake up early. I don't say everybody needs to wake up. Some people may be night people. You may work to 4 a.m. That's fine. However you work best, you work best. But the point in finding a vision is it's to keep you going when everything looks bleak. You've had the worst week, the worst month, the worst year. It's a blessing that God has given us to keep us forward, as you said, to stay on the path, not get distracted, not get discouraged, just to keep going because you have this hope, you have this belief in something bigger, something that's worth all this work, something that's worth all these trials. And the only way you can do that is if you really develop your vision. And they say hope is a well-founded and confident belief that a specific vision, goal, desire, or promise will be achieved or fulfilled within a specific amount of time. And this is what I wanted to start off our cycle. We had a meeting last time about finances, but for our first, like just us meeting, to start off with vision, because what's going to, obviously you depend on God, depend on prayer. But when you don't want to wake up, when you don't want to work, when things just look like it's going wrong, when you want to quit, I want you to have this vision in the back of your head, or this vision written down, actually it's better, so that you could go and look at it and remind yourself why you shouldn't quit, why you should keep going. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take 10 to 15 minutes individually, and I'd like each of you to write out your vision for your life. So maybe you use part of that to pray, but write out your vision for your life. And when I don't say just think it, write it out, so you know what you're going towards. And this can be maybe a short-term vision, maybe a long-term vision. I'm not saying you have to find God's purpose for you within this 15 minutes. But I want you all to say, this is where I would like to be. And this is something you pray on, this is not, but I want you to really just start thinking about it. I don't think we've really been forced to do that in our lives, to really find out what we want to be, what we see ourselves at. We always, what our family, what our friends, what our neighbors, our coworkers want us to be. Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And when? So if you can take the next 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and really write that out for yourself. This is not something I'm going to ask you to share, so don't feel so write whatever you want. This is not something I'm going to ask you to share, but this is something I really think we should start our group for this cycle working on, finding out our vision. Okay, and it can be vague also. Maybe it's better to be specific. It's better to be specific, but it can be, say, I want to be great, or I want to have an amazing family. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to do with business, but I want you to have some overarching vision for your life, or start off on that path. All right, so if you could take 15 minutes and write that out, and we'll go from there. Okay, and go and rewrite mine. But if you do want to share at the end, you can share. All right.
Is there a Wi-Fi? Yeah, but I'm not having, oh, I just got it. Huh?
Yeah.
You spoke into existence.
Is there a restroom here?
I don't know if you have access to it. You may have to go to the second point contact.
Okay.
Come on. That's me. I'll go get another one.
I don't have. You told us to write it down. Play the game.
Also, while everybody's writing, I also want to emphasize, don't limit yourself. Of course, be cautious of pride in what you're writing, but don't try to shrink your goal because you don't want to feel proud or you don't want to, write and then talk to God about it. Like, is this the goal? But I truly believe in having, there's something called big hairy goals, BHGs, just some things that are audacious, things that most people wouldn't dream of. If that's your calling, that may not be what success means to you. And that's the thing that I skipped over. This is about what success means to you. I said this is not your coworkers, your family. So if your goal is to make 50 grand and spend time with your family, that's a great goal. That's a great goal. If your goal is to be a missionary, well, that's a great goal regardless. But I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be, while I say be big, but find what your really success means to you, because I tell you, I have a friend who works with billionaires all the time, and you can be miserable. And I went to a school which had a lot of super rich kids, but they were doing a lot of drugs. So you can be super rich. You think the people who have all this money are happy? No, money doesn't fill that hole. Success doesn't fill that hole. If it's not the success God called you to, so only God can give you. God fills that hole, but He can also use the success to also help you move forward. But it has to be within His alignment of what you want, not what the world is pushing or the media is pushing or your friends are pushing. Really think about what the success means to me. All right. There's a couple more minutes. Okay. Okay, everyone. So that's what we have at 7:45. Does anyone want to share?
I wrote in Spanish, so if I didn't say, I might miss one part. My vision is to help somebody. I have always had a heart to help people who truly needed it. After knowing Christ and being born again in God, God has given me such a heart for the lost souls. My number one spiritual gift is evangelism. I believe that helping people organize and declutter their closet, their home, their office, etc., can be a platform for me to preach the gospel to them and at the same time remove some stress from their lives.
Do you have a name for your business?
Yeah, Let There Be Light. I was actually praying about it and meditating in Genesis. So I took the name, or God gave me the name out of Genesis. You know, when God actually, the Bible says that everything, the earth was dark and void. And so that's when God, you know, God himself brought light and made everything, and he made it also organized. So
What was the name? I'm sorry.
Let There Be Light.
Oh, Let There Be Light.
So I will share some of mine, just in case it'll inspire other people to be audacious, and also to show the variety. I have a lot. I have a lot that I want to do in different sectors. So I think it'll also give encouragement to people who want to do something in more than one field or industry or component of their life. Okay. So I think all of this stems many things, but I want to be a great husband, father, family man, and friend. And that to me means being able to provide love, wisdom, inspiration, and time. Time as well as experiences. So I want to be able to take my kids and wife and family abroad, take them around, be able to do things that I wouldn't be able to do if I'm constrained by finances. With that said, I want to be a billionaire. I want to build incubators in Africa and South America. Incubators are, if you think of a baby, premature babies, it's essentially a space and program that gives companies who aren't ready to succeed fully in the real world, they're not fully developed, a place where they can grow before they go out in the world. It helps that progress. So I want to do that across Africa and potentially South America. Also would like to have investments in 100 companies. And one of the big things that I don't talk about enough, I think is, I really want to, a lot of what I want to do financially and things, providing hope, but I want to be an inspiration to Africans and people of African descent. Things they can do, how Christ has helped me, and along those lines. And finally, there's still a few more things on here, but I want to develop clean water initiatives in Africa. I don't know why, but I have this may actually be my second longest or longest dream to build plumbing in like Africa. Like I believe if you can get plumbing into their house so people aren't going to water well or something like that, you can really increase a lot of things they can do instead of having to travel, having to carry these heavy waters, ridiculously heavy, having to carry that can just come to the home. You'll open up their life with so much more. So that's one of my passions, which I don't really, but it's on my heart. So those are some of that's my vision. And it's, as you see, it's all over the place, but hopefully that allows you to be all over the place with your vision. Anyone else?
I have a lot. Okay, like in terms of Christian, I want to be a praiser like King David, because my favorite part of him is he praised the Lord not only verbally but also non-verbally, you know. And I'm a dancer. Yeah, and then also I want to be placed in the very front line of spiritual warfare, and then like grab people, let's go, like kind of like a cheerleading, that kind of thing. And also I'm having disciplining by God financially, especially in these days, because I'm a student visa, so I'm not allowed to work. You know, so a lot of international students work in a for Koreans, they work at a Korean restaurant in Koreatown off the book. And then actually I did that too, but at some point I realized that that's not God's character, honesty, you know. So I told God, I want to work honesty like you, so just help me. So now I'm having really hardcore, you know, training, but I want to be a sample to Korean students, international students. Then they can do it with Jesus. And also, I have a lot of things to want to study, but I have no money. But so I truly understand that how some people, they have dreams, but they cannot afford to study. So I know how miserable is that. So I want to make a, how can I say, like fun foundation for helping that Christian student or so well, there are a lot of people to send like food or to Africa or so, but there must be people to training and help to young people and then send to help the other countries, right? So I want to do that kind of foundation things.
If you need help with that, I can help you with that. I started a foundation years ago. So like writing bylaws of incorporation, EIN numbers. I think that's brilliant. It's a beautiful
Thank you. That's cool.
I just piggyback off of something you just said. Well, that's super great too. But yeah, in regards to that, I just won my first grant, and literally, they threw me for another loop because you don't just get money for free, right? So I need to talk to you probably afterwards because I have 2 companies that I operate from, but now I need to have a whole separate EIN as well as DBA for this entity in order to receive the funding. So
is it a nonprofit organization?
So about that, my corporations are not nonprofit, but this would be under, I guess, the spectrum of nonprofit. But again, I'm like,
when it's a spectrum, when it's under like the nonprofit, you're gonna get, there's so many foundations, organizations, nonprofit organizations, charities that are all seeking funding from the same source. So it becomes very bureaucratic.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, that was one of the options for anybody that's looking for grants. If you're a nonprofit, you can be an umbrella for other corporations. However, like he's saying, everybody's looking for funding, so you get kind of jammed up.
But I think that's why Chris's idea is so powerful, because she's reaching towards believers that may have money and may want to start a grant, a fund to support people that are chasing their dreams the Christian way when visiting other countries. Because I think that's where the heart is. When you start going to like states and federal governments for loans and grants, especially if it's anything related to religion,
they don't touch it.
Yeah, they don't touch it.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's the beautiful thing of expressing all of this. Like, you know, so listening to your idea about decluttering, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, you know, the idea that you want to be able to express God's love and be an evangelist while decluttering. You know, I thought like, how many people would hire someone that just want to clean their home, but give them a word of encouragement in the process? That's powerful. That's a powerful need. That's a powerful tool. And then you kind of mix that up with, you know, these platforms that are being created over here, this Christian ecosystem that's being created over here. And all of us have different ideas, but what's happening is, you know, like God says about the body, you know, the arm and the other, you know, we all are one part. And it's a beautiful thing to hear when God is really putting a vision in your heart instead of like your secular self. Because when that ends up happening, doors will open up. So, you know, what you mentioned in your foundation, or so much breakthrough here is happening. Because if one door opens up, like in your prayer in the beginning, if God opens up that door, the floodgates will come in. It's beautiful.
It's okay.
It's beautiful. So I just get all for me, business, I get so I may cry in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I was telling Achumboro when he was in my office earlier, I said, I love business. I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm praying for God to remove that love so that I don't make business an idol, that God is still centered in my decisions. But it is beautiful to hear Christians speaking about business this way. I love it. Why not? We're heirs.
Yes, so does anyone else want to go? Do I start wrapping this up?
Thank you. So for me, there's like a couple of them, but mostly what am I like passionate about is mostly like to be a door for people who need opportunity. Especially I said it last time as well. If some of you were there, especially like for people from maybe like different countries that's not like rich countries, maybe people who like minorities or whichever people like who don't have like the opportunity or something to do whatever they want to do, and especially not only just give them money or something, but especially like I want to be like influential, like how and be motivation for people who want to see like I'm from Africa and from a really small town like East Africa, Ethiopia. Yeah, right. Thank you. So yeah, so I just want to be like I just want to make sure that I will be successful and at the top of my like anything possible really, so that I can be a motivation, and so that they can be like, oh, she was there and she can do it, so there's no reason I can't do it. So that's always how I used to think, and now even like that's how I will think like there are a lot of people that I see and I'll be like, oh my god, if she does it, like I can do. Oh, she was disabled, she was this, and now oh, so she is a history, and I read her book and stuff. So oh my god, there's no reason to not be successful. So basically that's what I want to do. I just want to be a historical like motivation for people in what I do, and I love business, so I want to be successful in business and those social areas, and that's what I want to do. I want to be like participate in some government issues in different countries, including here and back home, everywhere that I can do, like try to be involved in different policies, and I love politics as well. So in a way that can help people, and in a way to be entrepreneurship and that kind of thing. Yeah, basically, and Christians as well, to be openly talk about business. Usually like Christians will be like, Bible says, we want to be too like spiritual, and we don't. Now it's a good thing, I guess, but it used to be like, oh, we don't want to talk anything secular. We don't want to talk politics. We don't want to talk, business. Now what happened? We don't have Christians in business. We don't have Christians in entertainment, and we don't have Christians in politics. So I want to, be like active on that as well. Like we need to be in everything, and we need to be at the front.
There you go,
Yeah,
sisters.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, for the word. No, it's so true, so true. And that's why I said what I said earlier. I'm a Christian, but I'm in the secular field, like hardcore. So yeah.
There's somebody in this church that I heard. I was watching something on the news. I forgot what it was, or somebody shared a link with me. She's into the hip hop game, and she literally, you know what I'm talking about?
Sister.
Yeah. She was on a breakfast.
Yeah, she was on the breakfast club.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. It's like, you can't put Christ is to save everyone. You can't put him in a box. You can't like look at certain areas because they're clearly out of line. Well, they're clearly out of line, then God is needed there. And I just found who is she? What's her name?
Kiki.
Kiki, yeah, I was fascinated. If you've never seen I've never seen The Breakfast Club, but that episode. And it was really powerful. She prayed for these people, and literally like one after another, God is just introducing another rapper and another rapper and another rapper. So much so that I think, what's his name? Something the God?
Yeah, Charlemagne the God.
Charlemagne the God, right? I mean, what a perfect illustration of how God,
So her sister.
That's friends with Kanye West.
Exactly.
And
Her
God is tugging
sister.
on Kanye West.
Yeah. Her sister is a part of our group actually.
Look at that.
Right? And then my clients are actually gonna be on the Breakfast Club to promote this event that we have coming up for the 29th too. So you're absolutely right. And God opened that door. I was already connected with them through some other, colleagues. And then I needed the producers for the Breakfast Club. And then I forgot about KQ. And then my contact sent me the executive producer's information right away. So maybe God will do something more in regards to that community, because you know what, hip hoppers need God more than we do, right? We're in the church, and a lot of times people fail to understand that we're in the body. We can't just be like talking to each other all day. We know the word. It's those that need the word the most. And God actually removed me from that industry, hip hop, hardcore, to do what I'm doing as a safe person. So that's why it's even more beautiful that I can give back in that community. But it's absolutely true. What she's saying too, and that's one thing that frustrates me about the church, and I'm gonna be honest, like, we talk to each other all day, we're praying for each other. But how about the politicians that are making these scummy, crummy laws that are saying that children could be aborted up to 9 months? That's a whole child, that's a whole human. 9 months is now the mandatory, or like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but anyway, it's like 9 months is how far you can kill a child.
It's acceptable.
It's acceptable.
It's the norm.
And all sorts of other things are happening before our eyes, but we're so ready to pray for each other and worship God in the church. How about them that are dying outside the church, right?
Yeah, plus that's why like there are a lot of these laws that like church will, like every Christian will be in a church, but church are being like closed, and there are a lot of like churches they're selling for mosques because they don't have the money anymore. They can't pay property tax or something. Yeah, like that in business as well. Christian business will be being closed because there are a lot of governors which are atheists, or they don't even like Christ, or Christians they don't want. So that's what it's gonna come to. So we have to be in everything, and we have to be at the top, at the front of everything.
And you cannot be in fear. The Lord said, "We shall not have a spirit of fear, but one of love, power, and a sound mind." And the thing too, right? And the thing about churches too, just to let you guys know, literally, if you're a church, you don't pay like taxes, right?
Yeah,
so that's where they stop you.
Yeah, and they're trying to remove that now from churches.
Exactly.
So messed up.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but we have to start wrapping up. Because we need to be out of here about 8:15, and I try not to keep these meetings going too long anyway. But I did want to touch on a few things. So I want you to do these two things. One, I want you to pray on your vision. Okay, so pray on it, ask for confirmation, ask for refinement, ask for God to lead you regarding that. After you do that, I want you to post it. Not online, I mean somewhere in your room, somewhere where you'll look at it every day. Somewhere where you'll look at it every day, and when you wake up, you're reminded what you're waking up. You're waking up for God, but you're also reminded your purpose, what you're trying to do, things like that. I want that to be something you look at every day. All right?
I would recommend a vision board.
Yes, I do. Yeah, every year.
I have it like right when I wake up, I stand up and I see it. I'm like, okay. I haven't given it the attention it deserves lately, but I will. I will look at it.
Exactly. And then tell it. If you have somebody in your life you trust that is encouraging, I don't mean a yes man or yes woman, but somebody who you truly should. This is not something you tell everyone. This may not be something maybe you don't have anyone, so this might be something you don't tell anyone. But if there is somebody in your life that you actually can trust, that will encourage you, that wants you to succeed, not succeed in their vision for you, but succeed in the best way you can succeed. Tell that person so that person also knows and can remind you of your vision. When you don't want to look at your board, all right? So with that said, I will recommend a few books that are related to this. One is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I've read that one.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay, so whoever hasn't read that, please read that. All right. Yes, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I'll post that in our group chat. Also, yes, please make sure you join the group chat on Band app, just so you can stay in contact with each of us. Feel free to message people, if you have something going on, you have an event, the only thing I ask is you don't promote for other people's event. You can talk about your own, but not promoting for other people's event. And so please join that group. I'll send the link if nobody else has it, but I'll also post these book recommendations for it. So that's the first book I'll recommend you reading. Now, if you've already read that book, there's another book which is a bit more advanced, but still I feel very fundamental. It's called OKRs, Objective Key Results. It's written by one of the people who mentored the Google founders, the founders of Google, and that's what they said helped them reach the heights they have reached. And Objective Key Results is really about putting together specific points that you have to do in order to reach that overarching vision.
What's
OKRs.
OKR, like A-R-E or
Oh, sorry, OK as in the letter R, so all initials, OKR. And I'll post all these books in the band also. All right, so please read that book. It'll show you how to really break down your vision or break down your goals into specific points that you can know, okay, I have to do this week, next week, this month, and really be able to not just have something floating in the sky, but you're actively working to reach your objective. Okay? Awesome. I also highly recommend reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't read that, it's really, I categorize business books that I read in several different categories. One, business strategy. 2 is financial. 3 is general business tips, and 4th is mentality. And I feel as an entrepreneur, you just have to have a different type of mindset in the way you look at problems, look at opportunities. And this book will help shift that mindset if you don't have that mindset already. Because in school, in life, most people are not taught to be entrepreneurs. You're taught to be employees. You're taught to memorize. You're taught to do things in a certain way. This is trying to break you out of what most of us have been preconditioned to our whole life. And the last one, even he's my favorite entrepreneur. So, and I'll give you another book from another entrepreneur. No, it's Elon Musk. So I also highly recommend reading books about entrepreneurs, biographies about entrepreneurs. So you see it's not all roses and rainbows. All right, you see a lot of time it's just about failing. Then once you think you're dead, it takes off. So really want you to see the real picture behind how people build their businesses. Behind biography, yes, biography. So I'll post the full name of that book also in the group. But this is a book I recommend, and also Sam Walton's book. If you want a different aspect of somebody, but Sam Walton's book is that's the founder of Walmart, and you'll see how Walmart, when they first started, nobody predicted. Nobody predicted that they'll go this far. They actually weren't the first people in it, and they definitely did not have the most financing. So that'll give you encouragement if you're a small player trying to enter a market. All right. Okay. So with that said, let's do a quick closing prayer, and then I'll turn off the. So we meet every first and third Thursday at 6:30. This meeting is probably one of our slowest meetings that we'll ever have. The other meetings, as those of you have been, they're more interactive. This is kind of been, but there's more things to do. This one, vision, is just so singular. I wanted to really focus down on it because it's something that's super important, but we'll push it away if we don't just drill down and focus on that. So I didn't want to mix it up with anything else, but our other meetings are usually a bit faster and a lot more to do. All right. So what was I saying? So we meet every first and third Thursday of the month at 6:30 p.m. here in this room. Okay. So our meetings will run to 8:15 p.m. This video will go on my YouTube channel, which is Ataande Business Media. So you can it's free. That's what it's on YouTube. It's free. You can just go stream in, watch it for yourself. And I would say things to look for in the video. Look how you pitched yourself, so you can work on that. If you notice any ums, if you notice any other filler words, if you notice you're not standing up or presenting yourself, this is a way to really look in the mirror and say, this is what I do when I'm in a group situation. Okay. With that said, I believe that's all my announcements for now. Okay, it was a pleasure to have you all here. And I look forward to this cycle and all of us learning how to grow together. All right? Yes.
I love how you said I want to be there together 3
Yes, yes. Yes.
Speaking 1 million, he's got 3 million. So praise God for 3.
Amen. Amen. All right. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this time. Thank you for bringing people here safely, God. Thank you for letting the church give us this space, Father. You remember we came from a coffee shop.
Yes, Lord.
So thank you so much, Father. Thank you so much, Father, that we don't have to worry about being kicked out as we used to,
Yes,
Father.
Lord.
I pray that you truly help everybody find their vision, their calling you've made for them, Father God, and give them the faith in you, Father God, not in our own resources, but in you, Father God. And I pray that none of these visions, no success or quote unquote failure pulls us away from you, Father God, that we all grow closer to you, Father God, and closer to each other, Father God. I pray that you make us lights, Father God, lights on a hill for your glory, God. Please lead us in what we need to do this week, this month, and guide the group in how we should go, grow, and minister. Thank you, God, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone.
Humble beginnings, humble beginnings.
I went in that coffee shop.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, I met a friend, and then we just went out to rest before another meeting. And the manager came up to me and said,
Sunday, it was you and someone else?
And I said, oh my God.
We moved on.
I said,
Amen. That was it. So you'll handle that.
I met you with someone else.
Yes, because you haven't, yes.
My friend is
Got it.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw. Okay. She's doing good.
Oh, wait. Sorry. One more thing. If you know of any opportunities for Ashley, she's in college right now studying marketing.
Oh, right.
So an internship, preferably paid, with a good firm or somebody you really trust. If you know any opportunities, please send them to me and then I'll put them. All right. That's what I was feeling.
Come to church on Sunday?
Thank you for always
Yeah. What time? I'll give you my days off. Oh, Friday. Well,
good to see you back.
Okay, I'll see you there. Okay? Right, I'll be there. All right, bye. Process.
I saw you say like you know and your clients and all about
It's coming. But to get everybody set up.
Soon. It's nice meeting you. I'll see you maybe in church. You go to church on Sundays? Okay, yeah, I'm in at 3 p.m., 6 p.m. So I usually sit like in the first 2 rows.
Because I don't know.
If you see me, I'll see you. I'm gonna grab it.
Unfortunately, this is pre-internet, so you don't know what's going on everywhere in the church. So I don't know. Since she's in here, she would know.
I'll pay for your real estate business as well. It's not the name of the company, it's about the person that you're working with. You gotta have, doesn't matter if it's Corker and Bond, Douglas Elliman, you have to have the right person that wants to really train you and do with you.
Yes.
Have you done sales?
Update, we're not meeting July 4th. That's a Thursday, so we won't be meeting on July 4th.
How many sales have you done?
The pizza.
No, that's what I'm trying to have.
It's kind of practices that might be more passive, but God has been using that to construct the church.
I'm in Highline. I used to be the CEO of Kevin Williams. I used to be the CEO of the company called names in my experience. When you go to a meeting and you pitch, I'm going to get the best because I know the market. And not just for an example, I'm an investor. A buyer that has $2 million. They want to buy $2 million. It's 2 bedrooms. We're on the west side. If they work with, let me give you a quick example, quick training. Because we did, I think we have 15 deals in contract right now, sales deals in the last year. And this is how I train my guys. It's a wake-up call, right? So you've been in the business
But like
for long.
now it's gonna be like over by now it's gone.
Perfect. So in the 7 years, you've been through all the training, the same old stuff, the same, like, in 7 years, I want to show you the difference. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right because I do this all the time. If I was a buyer and had $2 million, and I want to buy a 2 bedroom, and I say, what was your name again? Lydia, I want to work with you. I have $2 million. Is the 2 bedroom on the Upper West Side a good investment? What do you tell me? I could do co-op, I could do condo. Is it a good investment?
Yeah, I'm like right across the street.
Say 5 years.